អង្គុយចុះ
President, please be seated.
អង្គជំនុំជម្រះ
The court is back in session, and the floor is given to the international co-prosecutor to resume his line of questioning. And I would like to inform the co-prosecutor and the lead co-lawyers that you have one more session this morning and one more hour in the afternoon.
Thank you. Sir, I hope I'm close to being finished with my questions. Just to be sure I understand your testimony, you've told us, is this correct, that you never attended yourself personally any political training at the Olympic Stadium. Is that correct?
Witness, I did not attend any political trainings at Olympic Stadium. I was never there.
Okay, thank you. Sir, did you yourself ever witness people being tortured during the Khmer Rouge regime?
Answer. In Khmer Rouge time, I witnessed it, and I would like to find justice for the victims. When I was at Wat Phnom, there was a security office, and people from cooperatives or from sector were arrested and put in the security office. I did not enter into the security office. Male, female, people and children were put and tortured in that security office. I heard the screaming from those detainees, but I did not witness the incident happening in that security office.
Okay, so we can better understand where and when this was. Where were you when you witnessed or heard the screaming?
No.
Answer. It was to the north of Wat Phnom. It was not to the north of Wat Phnom. It was opposite Kalamat Hospital.
What was your assignment at that time?
Answer. I had no assignment. I was relocated and removed from my unit, and I was put for a brief period of time at that place. I peep into the security office every morning, and the people from cooperatives sector and district were sent into that security office.
Just so we have an idea of the time, is it correct that this was after the fall of the Lon Nol regime, after the Khmer Rouge had captured Phnom Penh?
Answer. Yes, after Khmer Rouge captured Phnom Penh. It is true.
This before or after you were sent to do rice farming in Phnom Penh?
Answer. I was sent to engage in rice farming after the liberation of Phnom Penh. And after 1 month and a half, I was relocated to Tangkok village, Barai districts.
Was that before or after you were at the location where you witnessed this security office near Calmette Hospital?
Answer. It was before I was sent to engage in rice farming. It was during the time I was removed from my unit and put in that place for a brief moment. I was under surveillance at that time. I heard the screaming and I secretly looked into that security office. I asked my colleagues what happened, and I was told that they were prisoners arrested from cooperatives, districts and sectors. I witnessed the torture at that place, and I would hear the sound of beatings every morning. I heard the sounds of crying of children, and as I was a prisoner at that time, I did not dare to go and approach that security office.
Who was in control of that security office?
Answer. I have no idea. I did not know who was in charge of that security office. As I stated, I could see the security office from a far distance. I have no idea who was in charge of that security office.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for telling us. When you don't know an answer, just say you don't know. Sir, do you know where the soldiers or the people guarding that office came from? If you don't know, tell us. Do you know what part of the country they came from?
Answer. I did not know the place where guards were sent from. And I did not know when this office was established.
Do you know, sir, if this office had been used for something else before it became a security office?
Answer. That house belonged to the inhabitants, and this house was turned into a security office. It was surrounded by corrugated iron. No one could peep into that security office. But for my case, I could peep into that security office by looking through a hole in the house.
Do you remember if this was before or after the arrest of Un?
Answer. After Ta Eun had been arrested, the security office came into operation.
Sir, I want to read you something from E3 1593. That's a book by Ben Kiernan. And the ERNs are in English. It's at page 339, English 00678671, Khmer 00637878. and French is 00639117. It said that Professor Kiernan wrote, between mid-February and late April, 112 civilian officials from the zone were imprisoned at Tuol Sleng. And it's clear from the context he's talking about 1977, and the zone is the North Zone. Sir, were you aware of civilians from the North Zone, over 100, being arrested between February and April 1977?
Answer. I did not know at that time. The situation was confusing at that time. I did not know.
Sir, on the very next page, he indicates that on the 4th of April, Sandoval officers massacred 100 troops from ON's 310 Division in one day. Were you aware of over 100 or more of your colleagues from that division being killed at Tuol Sleng on the 4th of April, 1977?
Answer. At that time, I knew that there was a meeting and people disappeared, as stated in the document.
You've told us about participating in many battles throughout Cambodia, throughout the country. Did you ever fight in Vietnam?
Answer. At that time, I did not join the battlefield in Vietnam. I was relocated, as I said, to build Kampong Chhnang Airport. And soldiers from 502 or from Southwest zones were sent to join the battlefield. As for those who had been affiliated with the tendency, was sent to build Kampong Chhnang Airport. And as I indicated, I did not attend the battlefield in Vietnam.
Okay, thank you. Just so we're clear, either before you went to the airport or after, is it correct then that you never went to Vietnam to fight in Vietnam? Do I understand you correctly?
Answer. I never at all attended the battlefield in Vietnam.
Okay, thank you, sir. My colleagues will have some questions for you. Thank you.
National Deputy Co-Prosecutor, good morning, Mr. Witness. I am Song Chorwan. I have several questions to put to you this morning, and I am focusing on the topic in relation to Kampong Chhnang Airport. You have told the court and my colleagues that you were sent to Kampong Chhnang Airfield. Who sent you there? Witness. I was in the unit at that time, and Nyo was in charge of my unit. He was from the Southwest Zone. He was the one who sent me and my colleagues to work in Kampong Chhnang Airfield. Counsel, co-prosecutor, you stated that Nyo sent you and your colleagues to Kampong Chnang airfield, and you stated that you were relocated because you had been affiliated with the tendency. What do you mean by that? Answer. I want to say that, as I indicated earlier, my chief of division and regiment and battalions were arrested, and as the subordinates of those superiors, we had been linked to them. As a result, my colleagues and I were removed and sent to the Kampong Chnang airfield. And as I stated, we had been affiliated with the enemy, as allegedly said by them. Co-prosecutor, you stated that you were sent to the airfield. How did you know that you were removed and sent to Kampong Chnang airfield? Answer. Before I was relocated and removed, I would like to backtrack a little bit. Before I was removed, I was assigned to clear up the high scenes in Bang Proyab. I was there for a period of 2 or 3 months. I do not recall it well because it happened a long time ago. And after that time, I was removed and sent to Kampong Chnang airfield by Nyo, who was my immediate supervisor. And as I indicated, he was from Southwest Zone. Co-prosecutor, you state that your unit and including you was called and into a meeting. So where did the meeting take place? Answer. In the meeting, we were told that all of us had to be relocated to Kampong Chnang airfield, and we were removed from Bang Proyab and worked in Kampong Chnang airfield. Co-prosecutor, thank you. When you were in a meeting and you were told that all of you from your unit were sent to Kampong Chnang, so how many of you were there in your unit at that time? Answer. I could not give the exact estimates. There were 4 or 3 trucks. And from my recollection, there were 38 soldiers in one company, in my company. And as for the total number, I have no idea. Co-prosecutor, Mr. Witness, in your statement that you gave to the investigator of the OCIJ, document E3/5280, EON 002875 56, English 0029 05 15, French 0053 99 27. You were asked by an investigator, quote, when you first arrived at Kampong Chnang airfield, what did you see? And your answer is, quote, hundreds of male and female soldiers who had been accused of being affiliated with the treacherous network was sent to Kampong Chnang airport from Bang Proyab. You have just stated that you went from Bang Prayap, where you were assigned to clear up the hygiene. So, were you all sent to Kampong Chhnang airfield?
កាលដែលគេបញ្ជូនទៅ
Witness. Yes, the whole units were sent to airfields one after another. Members from the youth units, from female or male units were sent to the airfield, but some were sent to the airfield first and some other were sent later. Co-prosecutor, you stated that hundreds of you were accused of being linked to the treacherous network. Where were they from? Witness, I have no idea where they were from, but what I knew is that they were from different zones, north zone, east zone, and other zones. Those who had been linked to the treacherous network were sent to that Bang Prayap.
បានដឹងតែប៉ុណ្ណឹង
This is what I know.
ចាគុណ
Co-prosecutor, thank you. I understand that this incident happened long time ago, but I would like to ask you the exact date. When were you moved to Kampong Chhnang?
ខ្ញុំមិនចាំ
Witness, I could not recall the exact month or date. I did not pay attention to the date or time. And as I indicated, I was allegedly accused of being linked to the treacherous line. I did not pay any attention to the date or to month. Co-prosecutor, in document E3/528T, Khmer Iran 0028 75 56, English 0029 05 15, and French 0053 99 27. You stated that in early 1977, before the Khmer New Year, I was sent to Kampong Chhnang work site. Is the date, the year you stated to the investigator correct? Witness, yes, that is correct, based on that document. Co-prosecutor, when you first arrived in Kampong Chhnang work site, where did you stay? Answer, I stayed in Boribo district, but not in the village. I built a house or an office to stay in, and as I indicated a while ago, I stayed in Boribo district. Co-prosecutor, upon your arrival, how was the situation of Kampong Chhnang work site like? Answer, upon my arrival at Kampong Chhnang work site, 2% of the construction had been completed, and my unit was assigned to clear the land with the help of the tractor. That is the first time that we were assigned to do. Co-prosecutor. And then, who divided the assignment for you to work, and what did you do there? Answer. My immediate supervisor, his name was Cham. He receives the instruction from the upper echelon, and he relayed the instruction to me and my colleagues that we were all asked to go to clear land and to pick up the woods and to uproot trees. Co-prosecutor. Did you work there alone, or were you with your members of your units when you were assigned to implement that task? And how many of you were there in your group or unit? Answer. We were divided into units. And there was 36 members in the one platoon, 12 members in one group, and we were divided into groups and platoons to be in charge of the assignment. Co-prosecutor, thank you. In the document E3/5280, Khmer Iran 00287557, English 00290516, French 00339928. When you were asked about the working condition, food ration, and working hours, you stated as follows. The work was very difficult, and we were under watch and under constant watch, as we had been linked to the treacherous network. And if we broke the earth-carrying basket or hose, we would be arrested because we would be accused of being enemy. Unquote, translation. You stated that you were under constant watch, and who kept an eye on you? Answer. He was the unit chief. Thank you for asking me this question. It was the unit chief who kept an eye on me and on my colleagues. If we happened to break the earth-carrying basket or hose, we would be accused of betraying the revolution. So, as I stated, we were under constant watch. And for those who fell sick, they would be put under surveillance. And they did not receive sufficient food to eat. And if they fell sick, their food ration was reduced to half of the plate or bowl. So the work there at the Kampong Chnang airport was really difficult. We had limited food ration, and we were told to wake up at 5:30 to conduct the collective work, not the individual work.
លោកថាមេកងជា
Co-prosecutor, you stated that your unit chief kept an eye on you. Did he also join you in the work site, or did he only stand and watch all of you there?
អរគុណ
Witness, thank you. He did not engage in the assignment. He was there walking around to watch over us whether we were active in our assignment. And he was there to see whether some workers were inactive, sitting too long. And as I stated, he kept an eye on us. And he would ask the members of the units whether everyone was there at the work site. And we were also asked why one individual was absent from work. So we were under surveillance very strictly. Co-prosecutor. Besides the unit chief, were there any soldiers, Khmer Rouge soldier or guards watching over you? Answer. There was a regulation from the Khmer Rouge upper echelon, and this regulation was imposed on the unit chief. And if the unit chief did not follow the regulation or instruction, he or she would be accused of being an enemy as well.
ជួយបញ្ជាក់
Co-prosecutor, I would like you to clarify it for all of us. Were there any guards armed or in the different clothes?
Bad.
Answer. I never noticed any soldiers at the work site, and I only saw that every morning there would be workers with their own tools, such as us carrying basket and hose going to the work site.
Question. What about the clothing worn by workers and unit chiefs? Was there different attire dignifying those who were unit chiefs? Answer. At that time, unit chiefs were cadres. However, they were wearing black attire and a black cap, and that's what we noticed of their position as unit chiefs. Question. What about ordinary workers working at the work site? Was their clothing different from the black attire worn by unit chiefs? Answer. Immediately after the liberation of Phnom Penh, the workers worn black clothing or khaki pants or some colored clothing left over from the previous regime. So it was a kind of a mixture of clothes worn by workers. Question. During the period you worked at Kampong Chnang Airport or work site, Do you recall, if you can, how many workers in total are working there, just in terms of into hundreds or in the thousands? Answer. From my observation, they were into tens of thousands of workers, not only thousands but tens of thousands, but I cannot give you the exact figure because there were many workers there. Question. You said they were into the 10,000 workers, and what were they doing there at the work site? Answer. Of course, they were building the airport work site. However, they were in different units. Some units were assigned to break rock, while others were assigned to lay foundation or to compress the soil. Question. For those tens of thousands of workers, were they ordinary civilians? Were they peasants, or were they workers or soldiers? That is from what you observed. Question. Answer. They were not ordinary civilians. Even the women, they were reassigned from their respective units. For instance, those women were female soldiers, or those soldiers who were alleged of having affiliated with the bad elements, and some workers were reassigned from commerce units. But the ordinary civilians were not mixed with soldiers or former soldiers, so only soldiers were on site. There were no civilians. Question. So for the tens of thousands of workers were reassigned from other units, and they were all former soldiers. And once they arrived in the airport work site, were they still considered as soldiers, or were they considered as ordinary workers or civilians? Answer. They no longer held any position. They were considered ordinary civilians, working as a normal. In the morning they had to wake up carrying their basket and hoe going to the work site. They were no longer considered soldiers. Question. In your document, EN in Khmer is 0032059021, and in English 008761. The interpreter cannot follow the EN numbers. Deputy Co-Prosecutor, the EN in English is 00876511, and in French 00892658. You mentioned that during your DCCAM interview, when you were asked when you were working at Kampong Chhnang Airport, was arrest continuing, and you responded, and allow me to quote, yes, arrests were still being made. People who committed serious offense were not sent to their detention center. only for the light offenders were sent to the detention, and then you were asked again, for those who were sent to Kampong Chnang, were they all prisoners? And you said that yes, they were. End of quote. Free translation. My question to you is the following. For the alleged serious offenders who were not sent to the security office, where were they sent to and to do what? Answer. Serious offenders were sent away, and as I stated earlier, some workers broke a hole or damaged a ice cream basket or other tools. They would be arrested and not sent to the security office, but they were sent to the ONCA's office. Question. Please clarify. You said that they were sent to the ONCA's office. What do you mean by that? Answer. They were sent to be ended there. I mean, they were sent there to be killed. And that's the end of it. Question. What about the light offenders? What did they do to those alleged light offenders? Answer. Light offenders were assigned to do the routine daily work without any sufficient food, and they had to work overtime, and they were subject to monitoring. And for those who were accused of being serious offenders, as I mentioned, damaging a hoe or a carrying basket, or for those who walked freely without respecting the discipline of ONCA, would be monitored. And light offenders were subject to a normal work with little food provided. Question. As in the quote I mentioned, those workers who were sent to Kampong Chnang were all prisoners. And why do you arrive at that conclusion? And if so, were they light or serious offenders? Answer. I have already stated those who were sent to work at the Kampong Chnang airport, as I told the DCCAM interviewer. Those workers were considered bad elements. I refer to those who were sent to work at Kampong Chnang airport. So regardless of the units they were attached to, for example, breaking rocks or compressing earth, they were all considered bad elements. And they were used to engage in those risky work, for example, breaking rocks, and sometimes they were crushed by fragments of those rocks. So, in a way, they were being tortured through this form of hard work. Question in the same interview, EN in Khmer is 0002 0592, and in English 00876513, and in French 0089 2959. You were asked by the interviewer the following question. Surrounding the Kampong Chnang airport worksite, were there any killing sites? And you said that killings did occur for those who were considered performed fully would be killed to the west of Kampong Chnang airport work site. You were then continued to be asked at which village, and you said there was no village there. It was all covered in forest. End of quote. Free translation. When you refer to the forest area west of Kampong Chnang airport work site, can you recall the geographical location? For example, district or commune name, if you cannot recall the village name? Answer, you are right, I cannot recall the village name. However, it was in Boribo district, Kampong Chnang province. Though I cannot recall the name of that forest, nor the name of the village. Question. And you said it was located to the west of Kampong Chnang airport. I refer to the killing site that you mentioned. How far was that location from the Kampong Chnang airport work site? Answer, it was not that far. It was between 500 meters to 1 kilometer far from the work site, though I cannot give you a precise estimate. Question. And why do you know there was a killing site at that location? Answer. I knew that it was a killing site because those people who were arrested were sent there. That's how I came to know about that killing site. Did you know about it? And did you actually go to that location? Answer. I knew about it, but I did not go to that location. We were prohibited from trespassing that area as they told us it was a forbidden area. And of course, we conclude that we were prohibited from trespassing that area since it was a killing site and they did not want us to see what happened. And that's how I came to know about the site. Question. And did you also come to know about how those people were killed? Answer. To my knowledge, those people were taken to be killed there, and they were killed by the hose. They would use the hose to hit the back of their neck. And of course, they would not use bullets, since the sound from bullets being fired would be heard by us, the workers at the work site. Question. My last topic is in relation to the visit by the Khmer Rouge leaders. Did you ever see senior leadership or leaders of the DK regime coming to inspect or to visit the work site? If so, who? Answer. When I was living in Phnom Penh, I saw Khieu Samphan, and I clearly saw Ieng Sari at that time. I was told that man was Ieng Sari, and that was Khieu Samphan. but I did not have any contact or communication with them. I only saw them from a distance. Question. In your interview, that is E3/5280, Khmer EN is 00287558, in English 00290516, in French 00339928. You said that by late 1977 the runways were ready and you saw Khieu Samphan on a helicopter coming to visit at around 10 a.m. He was wearing black clothing and he came there with Chinese visitors, and that you were standing about 50 meters from where the helicopter landed. And he was inspecting the workers on site. End of quote, free translation. While you were working at the Kampong Chhnang Airport work site, how many times did you see Khieu Samphan and whom he were with? Answer. I only saw him one time, and at that time I was going to work, and we saw a helicopter about to be landed, and we were told that it was Khieu Samphan who came to inspect the work site. However, that's all I know about his visit, and nothing more I can add. Question. You said in your statement that he was standing about 50 meters from the helicopter. What was he doing at that time, and what were you doing at the time? Can you try to recall it? Answer. At that time I was working, and when the helicopter landed, our unit chief told us to stop working and just to stand still. So we watched him, and he was walking, inspecting to the work site. But I didn't know anything else besides that. Question. Besides Khieu Samphan, did you see any other Khmer Rouge leaders while you were working at Kampong Chhnang work site? Answer. No. I only saw Khieu Samphan once. I used to work with the Chinese who were technicians, and that's about it. Question. I'd like to ask about your unit members working at Kampong Chhnang Airport work site. Did you work with your group of 12 from the beginning to the end, or was there a rotation system? Answer. Yes, there was a rotation. That means the rotation of work. Sometimes we were asked to dig the ground, to flatten the soil, or to dig a canal. So there was a mixture and a variation of the nature of work depending on the instructions from our unit chief. Question. When you were interviewed by the OCRJ investigator about the disappearance of people from your group while you were working at the Kampong Chhnang Airport work site, that is in the same document, E3/5280 with Khmer EN 00287559, and in English 00290517, and in French 00339929. You were asked the following question: was there any disappearance amongst the workers in your group? And you said, in my group of 12, people disappeared. I recall Pip and Soon were arrested for stealing tobacco leaves, and they were alleged of being traitors. I saw the arrest of the two people, and their hands were tied behind their back, but I didn't know where they were taken to. End of quote, free translation. Who were these two workers, and how long did they work with you until their arrest? Answer. The statement I made with the OC as investigator is correct. We worked together for about one and a half months. One day, Pip returned from the worker, Pip and Soon, in fact, planted tobacco trees. And then some tree leaves fell. They picked them up. They cut them into small pieces, and then they smoked it. And next day, they were called to attend a meeting, and they said that in our group, there were traitors, there were enemies. I didn't pay attention to the fact that they picked tobacco leaves and could be accused of being traitors. Then Pip and Soon were arrested, and they were walked away. And Pip, while being walked away, said that I am now arrested and I will be dead, and if you see my mother and my family members, please tell them that I am taken away and killed. However, allow me to stress that I did not know where they were taken away and killed. And after he said that to me, I didn't dare to respond. And to my knowledge, they did not commit any mistake. They went to work regularly every day, and the only offense they made was to pick tobacco leaf. And that, I was sure of it. Question. And from the time Pip and Soon had been arrested, did you see them at a later stage? Answer. From the day of their arrest, they disappeared, and I have never seen them again. Question. You said there were 12 people in your group had been arrested, and you only told us about 2 members. Can you recall names of other 10 workers? Answer. No, I cannot recall their names. In my unit, 12 workers disappeared, and out of those 12, 2 disappeared from my group. So I cannot recall the names of the other 10 workers from my unit, as they were arrested at various stages. And I can only recall the names of the 2 workers in my group that were arrested, namely Soon and Pip. Co-prosecutor, thank you, Mr. Witness, and thank you, Mr. President. I am done. President, thank you. It is now appropriate for a lunch break. We take a break now and resume at 1:30 to continue our proceedings. Court officer, please assist the witness during the lunch break at the waiting room for witnesses and experts, and invite him to return to the courtroom at 1:30 this afternoon. Security personnel, you are instructed to take Kirsampon to the waiting room downstairs and have him returned to attend the proceedings this afternoon before 1:30. The court is now in recess.